That's it, man. We're done. WrestleMania 37 in the books. The two-night affair, 2021 post Thunderdome era. Maybe we'll see. But Mario, how you feeling? That was a lot of wrestling. But we had 2 days.
Stop trying to make Thunderdome era happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's too fetch.
Yeah.
Thunderdome era is too fetch.
Night 2 ended. That was. I have complicated feelings about it. How about you?
This is a tale of two shows.
Yeah.
This is a tale of two shows.
Yes.
Because we had basically night 1, which I would call Saturday night's main event. It got you all excited. It got you those same good feelings when you're watching Saturday night main event.
Let me tell you, yeah, that was something I noticed specifically was that Saturday you had that NBC feel, right? If you're a wrestling fan, if you know what that NBC feel was. You only see it again here and there on like Salute to the Troops now.
Right.
But NBC has its WWE on NBC has its own feel.
And I felt it.
You felt that on
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say like basically in that era, the Hulkamania era, that Saturday night's main events were my favorite shows. Yeah. I mean, they stick in my head. Yes. They stick in my head, and it's just like even the stuff that people would write off as like corny and stuff, it just really stick in my head. But it felt special. And night 1 really felt special. We talked about this in the last podcast. We're going into this one very nervous. Right. And to me, it just like they started strong out of the gate and then just started boom, boom, boom. And I was happy with every single match on night 1.
Yes, just one quick, and we won't mention this again because we don't want to dwell on it, but I did get a little nervous at the rain delay, at some of those improv promos going on backstage. That was a little squirmy. And I got a little uncomfortable for just a bit.
Yeah, I mean, that was like old school wrestling, though, right? It's just like you didn't even have bullet points. Just go out there and say what you feel, and you got a little bit of just like the characters mixed a little bit in. Like I didn't need really to come up with something to say.
Yeah, I feel like
some did really well.
That was a nice little talent show for the guys backstage, right? To do a little competition. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on that. Let's just move past that.
Yeah, because let's not dwell on the past. Let's talk about the right now.
Okay.
Because they started off strong. Again, this is the second WrestleMania, I believe, that started off with the WWE Championship right out of the gate. Curtain jerk. Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre as the champ. And I was not really sure what about this match. I was just like, because Drew just came off a really strong feud with Sheamus and then kind of got thrown back into this. And it's just like he's kind of had his run for a year. So I was just like, I don't know. But I did tell you, it's just like Lashley.
Let's just say it's a little hard to get excited about Drew McIntyre. I mean,
it is.
But I mean, that's tough for anybody working as a babyface like that. But right now, we're just kind of like, okay, we're buying it, but we're not sure.
Yeah, we weren't sure. But you know who I am sure about? MVP as the manager. Yeah. He's got the cane now. He's got the swagger. He's got the mic skills. Oh, man, he's doing great. He's perfect for Bobby Lashley. We talked about how breaking up the Hurt Business was a big mistake, but he had that feel of Bobby Lashley coming out with MVP. To me, felt like Bobby Heenan coming out with Andre the Giant. He was all dressed up. He's like, this is my night too.
Yeah. And
that really helped elevate it. And we knew these guys were going to hit hard. But the finish, a full Nelson finished, not a tap out, a pass out with a full Nelson in the middle of the ring. Did you ever think we'd see a full Nelson as a finish?
Well, explain to me the significance. Why is that impressive to you?
Well, because, back in the 80s, that was the big strongman move, right? Ken Patera used to do the full Nelson. And then later on, it started like the headlock, in a real fight, right? A good headlock could finish a fight. Same with a full Nelson. You could finish on a fight, but in wrestling, it got termed a quote-unquote arrest hold, right? An opportunity for you to be able to do business right in somebody's ear.
Yeah.
So it's just like it took away from it wasn't a finish, and they brought it back as a finish. And obviously, Bobby Lashley, he put you in a full Nelson. He could legit break your neck.
Yeah.
So it's very, very plausible for him to do that. And sure enough, he took the finish, and it just like they involved MVP properly. It was the proper amount of shine for both guys, and then Bobby Lashley retains.
So did that feel like an audible to you? Did you feel like that they swerved on that one?
Yeah, like you said, maybe I don't know if they were feeling the same thing everyone else was feeling. Like Drew needs something else right now,
Yeah,
so it could have been an audible. But
yeah,
now that I see how night two fell out, I would say no. That
yeah.
they think they wanted to keep Bobby Lashley on the belt on Bobby.
Sort of explains why they broke up the Hurt Business a little bit now, since they were
Yeah,
intending to give him a run and they wanted him to look solo, be solo, look strong.
yeah. I still think it could have been a nice four horseman feel. Like I said, MVP being like a modern day Bobby the Brain Heenan. So.
Anyway,
Be that as it may, yeah, Phil Nelson takes a belt. Like I said, to me it was very telling that the WWE Championship in the curtain jerk again, just like it did with Seth. But man, when Seth and Brock did it, it got a huge pop.
look,
But it started the night off right.
look. There's too many belts.
Yes,
Too
yes.
many belts.
Yes, you got to set that to too many cooks. That is perfect. So, but Bobby keeps the belt. Excited to see where that goes next. Next up, we had the tag team turmoil match with Natalya and Tamina outlasting the Riott Squad, Billie Kay and Carmella, Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, and Lana and Naomi. So, like I said, we came up with some names from them. I was texting to you. We have Dance Dance Revolution. We have Heartache. We have the Flex Express. I was just making up a name. The most memorable part of this match that felt a little rushed. I feel really bad because all these girls are great, and unfortunately, all everyone is remembering is Mandy Rose slipping in the rain.
That's the gift of the night.
Yeah. I saw her walking in the rain. Yeah, and there's some great gifts out there, but it wasn't her fault. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of height. You got to get down there fast, and I'm sure it's slippery.
It's a metal ramp. It was raining. God, it's okay.
Yeah.
Let's move
Yeah.
on. We'll move on.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like I don't think it's gonna last as a meme past this weekend, but it's unfortunately it is. But the feel good moment was Natalya and Tamina. Both one second generation, one third generation superstar getting their Mania shot. So I thought, okay, this could be cool. Natalya and Tamina winning, that means they get to face Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler on night two. So I was like, cool. So far, so good.
So here's one note. I like that. I like since we're gonna probably have WrestleMania now 2 nights for good.
Oh God, I hope so.
I like stuff on night 1 affecting night 2. Let's book more of that. I feel that that's strong. Gets you excited for night 2.
Oh, I 100% agree. 100% agree that it actually gives you that feel of something special that could happen here. So, all right, and then next up we had finally this was the Cesaro redemption match, or Cesaro finally getting that brass ring. Cesaro versus Seth Rollins, one of the matches we picked to steal the show, and it pretty much we had some other matches we're going to talk about, but it was just like, if this match was on night 2, it totally stole the show, but it definitely set the tone. Like, we already had a strong match, and then we had a feel-good moment, and just like, this was a really good feel-good moment. Seth Rollins knows what it's like to be put over huge in WrestleMania. Cesaro's been waiting for that moment, and he got that moment, and Seth took the pin clean right in the middle of the ring. They had a good, 12-minute match. What'd you think?
I thought it was good. For considering I didn't know what the stakes were here, I didn't really know what the story was. I thought the match was impressive. Cesaro's is always good. Seth Rollins is always great. But basically, they took something that didn't have a whole lot of stakes to it and put on a great match.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the story behind the story here, it's just like everybody wants Cesaro to finally be a top guy. Yeah. He's got the strength. He's got the look. He's got the weird charisma, because you don't look at him and think charisma, but like, he speaks 7 languages. Like, when he comes out, he looks like an athlete. Every tag team he's been in, whether it's the Un-Americans or when he was with Natty Neidhart's husband TJ. Mm-hmm. When he was with that, when he was with the Bar, when he was with Nakamura,
he's got that.
Gets everything over.
Foreign exchange student who becomes your friend, charisma.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, and it works. And it's just like, he's made everything they've given him has worked. It's just like, give him a title run. And they gave him the swing back, and the crowd was waiting for that swing. And he's got the 23 circulation. He's got that other he must have some seriously obviously he's ripped to shreds, but his equilibrium must be like through the roof because he did the UFO, which is basically a no-handed airplane spin, and then he did the Cesaro swing. He's just had him spinning all night. Seth tried to answer with his own corkscrew frog splash. These guys they pulled out all the stops and had a great match, and it was a good feel good moment.
Yeah,
it was like to me it was a real good feel, like a real moment.
No,
like
Cesaro
not a
definitely went over
moment.
on that. I mean, it made him look great. It was better than expected, which is always good, you know.
Yeah, but it was like all right, these guys we're firing on all cylinders. It was the night that it's just like, wow,
You had
it
a nice
felt
build.
like
You had a nice build going there because I think the first match of the night was probably the weakest to me, you know, or my least favorite.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
and it was still a solid match,
and it was
but
still solid. It was still good.
Yeah.
So it was building pretty well at this point, and it was feeling. I was like, oh wow, this is after the nervousness of the first 45 minutes. It's like, okay, things are popping.
Yeah, and I feel like they were starting to elevate it, and then so yeah, next up, and then we had the tag team championship match for the Raw tag. You had New Day versus AJ Styles and the debut of Omos, the big 7'2", 7'3" bodyguard of AJ Styles.
I was a little confused at first because he seemed too dressed to do a match. I
Yeah,
was like,
he
he's
came
just
dressed with
in
the
a suit.
Yeah, that was very interesting the way he came out. AJ obviously phenomenal, lives up to the name. Kofi, Xavier always do awesome in the ring, and they did a great job. Obviously, we knew they were going to be able to work, but the psychology of just like teasing of getting Omos in there, just like first they were going to put him in there, like no, we're not going to start the match with him, and they did get a great job teasing it so you would get that pop when he finally came out. So when he finally did come out, it was they got a huge pop, and he's just such a great look in the ring. It's just like, but the big question is,
he's
right?
a huge dude with a dress shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good gimmick. I'm into it.
Yeah, and his rock, chain like the Rock. All he needs is the fanny pack.
I like. It's not a dress shirt. It's like casual, but the sleeves are cut off. But you can wear it with a blazer and then take it off and wrestle.
And that's a very Big Bubba Rogers, right? Formerly Boss Man. It's just like he's a bodyguard, but he can fight in his dress attire.
Yeah,
but he was really good when he got in there. He did the big man stuff, because the big question is, was he going to be like the Big Show, super athletic, or was he going to be like Giant Gonzalez, like, wow, it's a big dude to look at, but he really can't do much? And he did good for his first match, and he can only get better. Hopefully they're teaching him that giant psychology. It made AJ the Grand Slam winner. AJ had a cool spot off his shoulder, so it accomplished exactly what he needed to. Because the New Day, they don't need the tag straps. They're going to keep getting them a few more times. Their first, they've held it more than any other team in history, so they don't need it. So it was a smart. So far for night one, everything was booked properly and it kept everybody happy. There was no head scratching.
No,
but
felt good.
And, there was a lot of head scratching going into this, because a lot of the build up to these matches was so piss poor. That's why we were all pretty nervous. So it was a pleasant surprise. Like, oh man, this is awesome. That it's just like everything's kind of working out. Because the next match was one of the really ones I was worried about, was basically Shane playing the part of Brain versus Braun, right?
Yeah.
But the difference is, it's just like, the whole bully and calling him stupid, and it's just like, I wasn't really buying it, and I didn't know, and then they went right into the cage. But again,
it was pretty good.
It was a good match. It's just like they really delivered. I was so psyched. I mean, Shane just doing great. We had a couple of run-ins, with Elias and Jackson Riker, and they did everything. Everything they did makes sense. I mean, they even got to the point where it's just like when Braun Strowman was standing on top of that cage, like just a big dude standing on top of that cage, I was like clenching my chair, just nervous that he was going to fall, because that's a big guy.
And you saw him holding on to that
Oh,
chair.
Yeah. I mean, that's not Rey Mysterio up there. I mean, Braun's a big dude, and it's just like Shane is, he's a big guy too, but it's just like Shane can handle himself at that height, but Braun is
Shane
a great
specifically
athlete.
went up there to fall off, so.
Yeah, exactly. We just knew that was going to happen. So when we knew when he took that hip toss and he did that flip off the top, just from Braun doing it probably added another extra 6 feet on there. Great match. I really popped when I love when the big guys do something strong to the cage, like Kane's debut of ripping the door off. So like when Shane was about to win and he climbed on the other side and he stuck his hand through, I was like, it's great when you're a fan and you fall for it, right? And I fell for it. I was like, what are they doing? Shane's just gonna drop and it's over. And then he just ripped the fence down. I thought that was great. He
Yeah, that
just
was
ripped
good.
the fence down and you saw the metal pop. I mean, they did a really great job with that. So
Yeah.
thumbs up to that match. It was a really good match.
Good match. Yeah, I agree. Solid. Like again, exceeded my expectations.
Yeah. So like so far, everything's going. Everything's coming up Millhouse. And then the next match it's just like another one. It's just like Miz and Morrison versus Damian Priest and Bad Bunny.
Yes.
Now this could have went any direction. When we talked about it, like originally when we talked about it, it was originally just going to be Miz versus Bad Bunny. They turned it into a tag match, which I thought was a great idea.
Which you actually said they should do. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and it ended up working, and it worked so well, but in a different direction because Bad Bunny not only they gave Miz and Morrison a great intro, right? They had the rosebud, bunny suits. They made everybody wear one, so they did a little hey hey hop hop.
Yeah,
and
they mixtaped it a little bit. They let that start before the other segment was done.
Oh yeah, it was perfect, and it's just like they came out, so it felt special. Bad Bunny got the great pre-tape coming out on the the 18-wheeler on top of it. It's like something out of Mad Max, and then oh yeah, so he had a great intro. So what I thought was going to happen is just like Damian Priest was going to be working, Miz and Morrison, and then Bad Bunny will get some spots.
Yes.
Complete opposite. Bad Bunny not only.
This is where night one took a turn upwards because the other matches had exceeded expectations. This one subverted expectations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
There's a difference.
That is very true.
And this one did. That's what anything good subverts your expectations.
I know. I totally agree because they flipped the script and Bad Bunny, he was in there most of the time. And look, a WrestleMania crowd, we know if they don't like you or if they think you're just there to disrespect the business, they'll boo you. And this isn't Thunderdome, man. These are not directed fans. If they're not happy, they'll boo you. And props to Bad Bunny that he started going out there. He threw in a destroyer pile driver. He threw a Falcon Arrow. He was doing double team spots. He was doing, planchas off the top. And he worked the bulk of the match. It was the opposite.
Yeah.
Like Damian Priest didn't work the bulk of it. Bad Bunny worked the bulk of it.
I know, but it worked so perfectly because when Damian Priest came in, that was huge too. And you felt that it's so much more because Bad Bunny had been in it so long.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it was just like, wow. And it's just like the crowd loved it. The live crowd loved it. And that for a celebrity, that is not easy to do. Like it's for a celebrity that likes the business can get in there and do a spot or two.
Yes.
A celebrity that can go in there and pretty much like run, do everything he needed to do in a match to the point where it's just like they had a commercial on night 2 for Bad Bunny where Triple H came up with like a suitcase and they're like, they're giving this dude an NXT contract. They're like, you're hired. Obviously, you know how to do this. Just like it ended up, it was a microphone, but for everyone's just like, this guy's getting a contract.
No, but which turned out to be even cooler because essentially they were just promoting Bad Bunny's tour at the end.
Yeah,
they gave him a send off. Okay, you did so awesome. Now go rule on your tour.
Yeah, exactly. It's like here's your Triple H, Skull and Mike.
Oh yeah,
and just like make him run. So like yeah. Props Sam, that was a great match. Great job by Miz and Morrison. Because it's not always, if this was 1981, you have a celebrity in there that's not named Muhammad Ali, they're probably going to take liberties on that celebrity and beat the crap out of them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so for Miz to go in there and not only do that, but, do the honors for Bad Bunny, and obviously in 2021, that's smart business, right? You're going to be on every music site's going to be carrying that. A Sports Center carried it. Again, it's just like so far, but think about it. That's 6 matches, and just like we thought Cesaro and Seth Rollins would have stole the show. And on a normal night, they would have stole the show, but they've already had all these great matches. And then the match that really stole the show, the match that should traditionally steal the show, which is the main event, right? Just like the main event of just like Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair, for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And It's just like, It was the feel-good moment.
Super emotional. You could feel it.
Oh,
they felt it. Everyone felt it. The people in the crowds felt it.
Yeah, they were ready to cry. You know, it's just like Corey Graves called out Bianca. It's just like, you can't get sucked up by the moment or else you're doomed. Like, because you saw she was about to start bawling, you know?
Yeah.
And just like, and they delivered, man. They just like hats off to Sasha, right? Because it's just like, everyone, there's a meme going around like right now. She's 0-6 at WrestleMania. She has a reverse Undertaker streak.
Oh yeah.
She has not won a match, but make no mistake, in this business, she won that match.
How many manias have you nerds lost at?
Yeah, exactly. That's right. But she did her job, and man, she did it so well. And those girls they just lit it up. I mean, that plancha spot where then she rolled and then she picked her up in a body slam, but then she pressed her over her head, but then she walked up the stairs while she was pressed over her head. I mean, they just worked again, and this was not a great build up to this match either.
No.
Which makes it goes to show you didn't need that bad build up. You probably didn't need any build up other than just WrestleMania 6 style build up, and just let them talk about why they're the best and not knock each other, right? There didn't need to be a heel in this match. It just needed to be Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair.
Yeah, but the work in these matches exceeded the build up. It was great. Everybody was. They knew it was the premiere on Peacock. Okay, they were putting on their Peacock performance.
Yeah, they were, right. And what is that is a Peacock.
Launch.
Shake your tail feathers. All the colors came out, and everybody came with their working boots on, and they did. It ended. Night one ended, and everybody went home happy. Bianca Belair holding that belt up high, and look. It didn't hurt Sasha one bit.
No.
If anything, it elevated her to realize that it's just like she had a main event. This was a main event. This will be a Mania main event classic that people refer to.
Yeah, I mean, Sasha still looks strong. In her side job, she's in Star Wars. So
she'll be okay.
Nothing hurts. And she put Bianca over, and that's great. She looked awesome. She deserves a run. It was good. You left there feeling great. I was like, not just because everything worked out well, but it exceeded. Everybody was going in hesitant. I think. I don't think anybody was sure what was going to happen. And then the rain delay came, and you're like, okay, karma or something's happening right now.
Absolutely.
You start squirming, and then all of a sudden, everything just clicked. It was almost like I felt. We've been bashing WWE for about a year now and thinking, man, this sucks. And like the creative sucks and all this sucks. And what all this stuff. And WWE just like the sleeping giant just stood up and like waved its hand and like just blew you away with what they could do.
With everything. Yeah. Like I went to bed thinking
builds with like the minimal amount of setup to everything. They just...
Yeah, you didn't need any of the builds to any of those matches. If you would have just walked in and this would have been a match that you didn't see any build up and you just came and watched this show, you would have been completely satisfied.
Yes.
Like you wouldn't even care why they worked each other.
Yeah.
That was just like, it was just like a good, solid wrestling show to the point where it's just like, well, I feel an apology podcast coming in our future because I was just like, Dave's just like, Twitter was,
I was like, it was like WWE said, well, actually, I'm not left-handed.
Yeah.
Did that moment, right?
That's exactly what exactly. I was just like, whoa. It was just like, yeah, I was told, Twitter was overly positive about it. Whether you're, other wrestlers, other wrestling companies, the fans, everybody was positive about night one. It's just like,
and everybody went to bed happy.
But like we said in the beginning, this was a tale of two shows.
Hard cut to night 2 with an orchestral stab. Night 2, white on black text in like the plainest text.
Because then things just changed. Because now we went from going in very nervous about night 1 to like, okay, I'm excited now. It's just like, keep going. You wanted them to keep going. Just keep doing. I didn't think that it could get reversed. Like, I didn't think you could. And look, I'm not saying night 2 was a fail, but night 2 compared to night 1, night 2 did the job. Night 1 saved this WrestleMania for sure, hands down.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh my gosh, just like night 1 was booked. Is supposedly booked to be a little bit weaker than night 2. They stacked night 2, so it's just like, Oh man, maybe we just got our hopes up too high.
Night
But
one is Airplane, and night two is Airplane 2, the sequel.
yes, that's that is a great way to pull it. That is actually a great way to put it. Because look, they had good matches on it. Well, let's go through the first. Let's go through the matches because, as we know, what we talked about here before, right, is just like curtain jerk, especially on Rated WrestleMania, is what's going to set the tone for the night. But look, and we had the WWE Championship. So when they announced that the curtain jerk, the first match was going to be Randy Orton versus the returning Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, which we haven't seen since May or whenever he got set on fire. He'd been gone for a while. Yes, we haven't seen him, the Fiend, in a few months. So this was a nice big comeback. So
can I just start off one thing? Okay, so yes. They had that clip at the beginning where burned Fiend regenerates back into a regular Fiend.
Right. Yes. They were using the leftover maize that the Weeknd used during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like he went through and burnt Fiend, turned back into, traditional Fiend with a shinier mask and clean ears, and he was ready to go. He had his striped pants, and he was resurrected.
So that was the first thing I was like, okay, sure, I'll buy it. I was okay with it.
Yeah, because then it's just like
back into regular Fiend, but cooler.
Yeah, we're there. We're back there. He's got the Tom Savini mask back on. He's good to go. Randy Orton does his walk to the ring. Alexa comes out to her Funhouse music, and then they have a big Jack in the Box, that looks very Fiendy.
Yeah.
She spins it. Music gimmick. Fiend pops up. Rises like, oh yeah. The crowd was eating this up. The slow resurrection, the weird star.
At this point, I'm okay with it. I'm like, okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, keep going.
Yeah, so and they slams down, and you just knew, you set up, I was like, okay, Fiend's going to do a nice spot right off the top of the Jack in the Box, and boom, here we go. I was like, all right, because look, we already seen this match plenty of times, right? Even a few WrestleManias ago, we saw this match. Mm-hmm. It was just like, so where we're going to go with it? It went wrong. So, I mean, that's the only way to say it.
All right,
it went wrong.
So Alexa comes out of the Jack in the Box. Did she like slowly rise out? I just all of a sudden she was just there, right?
No, it did. Yeah, it had one of those weird those music cuts, and then she was just there. Yeah, it wasn't a slow rise.
So the Fiend got distracted by this.
Yeah, because now she wasn't dressed up in her lovable clothes anymore.
Yeah,
she was wearing a crown of thorns that was had black goo.
Yeah. So it was like it was like bleeding. It was like a crown of thorns that was constantly bleeding.
Yeah, that was oozing down her face. So it was enough to distract Fiend, and then just like an RKO out of nowhere, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Okay. So at this point, I'm still kind of like I'm confused, but I'm assuming they're gonna explain it to me.
Right, because it's just like, okay, we all expect Fiend has been gone so long. You want him to stay strong. You're going to let him take the win. He didn't get the win. Randy Orton powdered out of there fast. So you're like, okay, they're about to explain what's going on.
Right, that's the thing.
Alexa's oozing black goo. Fiend is clearly still distracted by it. Lights cut off. Light turns back on. They're gone. They're just gone. And guess what? This isn't a Thunderdome. You can't direct the audience. The audience let them know. No, they booed it. They booed it.
So my theory is they just painted themselves into a corner creatively here, and they just said, we're not sure. We'll reboot it. Because Randy's out of the story here. He's gone, right? He's not going to take... But they didn't really... what was going on? Like, this just reeked of, like, Vince's booking. It's just kind of like, we're going to, like, explain it to you later.
Yeah, and that wasn't a clean... I mean, look, it's just like... Randy Orton had gotten over this entire time, right? Other than Alexa setting him on fire and he wore the Phantom of the Opera mask for a week. I mean, he burnt Bray Wyatt alive to the point where everyone thought that Bray was the babyface and Randy was the heel. So he stayed over strong the whole time. So it's just like something, I don't know. It just, whatever it was, it just didn't work. And the crowd let him know. There's nothing even to linger on because I guess there's nothing to talk about because they just disappeared and they didn't even bring it up again.
Yeah, it's like a clean reboot. We're going to come back with a brand new story. Randy Orton's gone. That feud's over. It's just, we didn't know how to end it, I think.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. So it's like, okay, now you started the curtain jerk with the fans are confused and some are upset. So it's just like, okay, well, you're gonna have the girls come up next, right? So you have Nia and Shayna versus Natty and Tamina. So I was like, oh, perfect. It's just like, here's the feel good story, right?
Yeah, I think they're a
Tamina's
great team. And again, they benefit from that build where they were on night one as well. You know, they
yes,
got that, they got that behind them. So it was like, yeah, when that started, is okay.
I think so. Just like two double generation superstars. You got the heart and you got the ache.
Yep.
You know, you got the big girl and then you got Natty. So it's just like, okay, there's your feel good moment. Natty and Tamina are gonna get a nice WrestleMania moment, and they had a good match. They were even setting up for that old school WrestleMania 1 body slam challenge, right? Where Tamina tried to slam Nia, but she couldn't do it the first
Yeah.
time, and she grabbed her back, and then she finally did it in the second time. You know, she
Yeah.
got a Lex Luger like slam on the Yokozuna, kind of. It was slammy enough, right? But it
Yeah.
was just
I mean, the announcer sold it, but I don't think it was slammy enough. I feel like it was
yeah.
just
Well, they
short,
did it, yeah,
just shy of slammy enough, you know?
yeah.
Because I
Enough
think
that they didn't show it in
they
the
were setting
replay.
that up with the first two attempts.
Yeah, and so they needed to get she needed to get a little higher on that. But look, it's WrestleMania. Nia's a big girl. It's a lot of jitters. There's just like it is what it is, man. So
Yeah.
it's just like it was almost forgivable. They didn't even show it as a replay. But the problem I had with it is just like people wanted Natty and Tamina to win because they needed that feel good moment to cleanse the palate of what happened.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. It's just like Nia and Shayna, they kind of went over with a weird Natty had her in a, you know, she had her in a sharpshooter, but then Shayna choked her out while the sharpshooter was on.
It felt wrong. It just felt wrong.
Yeah.
You know? Because I just think I've always thought Nia and Shayna Baszler are just a weird mashup, you know?
Yeah, because they started off, they didn't even like each other, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it didn't
Anyway,
work.
okay, so that didn't
And
work.
the finish came off as botchy, you know, so it's just like, oh man. So it's just like now the crowd is like, okay, what's going on? At least the crowd at home and the live crowd, because they were kind of dead.
Yeah.
They were just like, what's happening here? So it's just like now you have, okay, I was like, thank goodness, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. 100% guaranteed to have a good match. Totally, we're gonna have a good match, and it's just like then yeah, and they had Logan Paul as a special guest. Logan Paul had a stunner coming. We knew he had a stunner coming. Sami Zayn is doing great work on the mic as the conspiracy guy. Kevin Owens is always solid. These guys are like 100% reliable, and they did it. The crowd was eating up the match, right? Their spots, they were hitting all the right spots. Everything in that match worked, and then you knew, you know. Sammy put over Kevin, which to me that was like, okay, this is the first match of the night that the finish made sense, right? Because the conspiracy guy has to lose.
Yeah.
The only thing that could have did different is just like he could have said, look right here. This is the reason why I lost.
And it was slightly nuanced. Like it had a little bit of Kevin Owens being like, "I'm your friend. I'm doing this because I'm your friend, and I'm trying to straighten you out because I'm your friend."
Yeah, and he got he got their history in there, and they were, this is what you would call apologies in the locker room because they were hitting each other hard.
Yeah.
I mean, those kicks were stiff.
They're buddies, right? Though, and they've worked together for a long time. So I mean, they went all out.
Yeah, apologies in the drop. So 1, 2, 3, and exactly what the only thing that got botched in this match to me was the camera angle when Logan Paul was finally getting that stunner because that crowd at that point they're a little mad at the first two matches and they were rabid. They wanted Logan Paul. This is how celebrities at WrestleMania really get treated.
Right.
They were calling for that stunner because he got booed on the way out. You knew he was going to get booed on the way out. It's like, doesn't matter how many followers he has on the YouTube. The hardcore wrestling audience is very protective of their business. So you knew he was going to get booed. Even though he's a boxer, he probably is a wrestling fan. But it's just like, you knew he was going to get booed. And he was going to get that stunner. And he got the stunner, but they used the handheld on the ground. I wanted to see the crowd pop.
Yeah.
And you couldn't see the crowd pop because the handheld was shooting.
It felt strange to me. I did when you told me that. I was like, okay, that's what happened. Because when it played out, I was just like, this. What is this? Like it seemed off. I was that it. It just didn't seem like it. I don't know.
Yeah, because they didn't use the camera on the jib, right? They're supposed to use that high jib that gets the high angle of the whole match, so you can see everybody in the front row hands go up
Yeah.
when he finally get. And they did. You can tell the people did pop, but the cameraman missed it. And I was like, oh my god, that's what the fans. So at least the crowd in the audience got it, but the fans at home did not get the pop that they wanted for that.
Yeah.
But still, the right person won on that. Next match was for the U.S. Championship. They had a little vignette with Riddle, with RVD, and he was peddling his rolling papers, which I thought was funny. It's just like Riddle and Rob Van Dam could totally endorse rolling papers.
Yeah. Wait, who has rolling papers? Rob Van Dam?
Rob Van Dam, right? They had a little vignette with Riddle was basically broing out with Khali, trying to say, you can do all this. You need to get a giant store.
I saw that.
where
I
you
missed the rolling papers.
Yeah, and then Rob Van Dam came out to translate, and then he's like, you need to know how to market like these Rob Van Dam rolling papers, and he gave him rolling papers, and it's just like, how perfect is that? RVD and Riddle with rolling papers, because I even saw on Twitter that said weed is now canon in WWE.
That's a neat gimmick to me. Is that like he's a super stoner, then he gets in the ring and he's awesome, and his work is awesome. But as soon as that's over, he's back to his stoner self.
He's back to chilling out.
Yeah.
Because he's an MMA fighter, so I knew when him and Sheamus were going to have a match, it was going to be a hard-hitting match. And it was. I mean, again, these two guys beat the crap out of each other. There was almost one blown spot that I actually jumped out of my chair when Sheamus, his feet were in the wrong position, and he went to give him white noise, but his feet were on the other side of the rope. And if he would have jumped, it would have been lights out for Riddle. But Sheamus is so freaking strong that he was able to adjust his feet, still land on his feet, and then give him the white noise. How strong you have to be to hold up Riddle, because Riddle's pretty stacked with muscle, and Sheamus held him and protected him.
Yeah.
And that's why this business is, you call me brothers and sisters, because basically you're protecting them from being paralyzed from the rest of their lives, right?
Yeah.
And we know it could happen. And hats off to Sheamus for catching that and doing that. And then he hit him with the stiffest kick right in the mouth when he went to do a flip. And then surprisingly, 1, 2, 3, Riddle with a very short title reign. It was a great. That's what I mean. They were.
It was a good match, but at the end, when I watched that, I was like, Vince saying, fuck up your lines again.
Oh man, yeah. So I don't know what I thought maybe it was too soon for Riddle to lose it, but they went with it. And look, Sheamus, he's a reliable hand. He's great.
I think it's fine. Riddle doesn't need a title, honestly. He should not care about a title. You know what I mean?
You're probably right.
I think his character should not care about a title, so just get it out of the way. I don't think it makes sense for him to have it anyway.
Yeah, as long as he's always in there, because he's very, very entertaining, and Sheamus is very, very believable. So it worked out well as far as like, at least he had somebody to put the belt onto. So Sheamus took that, but we'll see how that plays out. Next up, the Nigerian drum fight between Apollo Crews and Big E come up next, and I thought, Big E's in his hometown. Everybody who knows Vince McMahon, if you are in your hometown, you are going to do the job. You are going to do the job.
Is that really? I thought he was from Orlando.
Well, he says he's a Florida guy. Like his Twitter handle.
Okay, he's a Florida guy.
Yeah. His Twitter handle is Florida Man.
Okay.
So it's just like
Fair enough.
It wasn't, but either way, it's just like, but it's just like, again, he hasn't. I don't feel like he's had this belt for too long. But I'll get into why I think he did do it, because Apollo Crews is doing his best work he's ever done, even in his NXT. This Nigerian prince is perfect because it's in the zeitgeist, because we talked about this, right? You have Black Panther, you have basically African royalty, coming to America, had a little comeback that's coming here. So it's just like, this is really, and he's doing some of this. They didn't really explain what the Nigerian drum fight was. There's a bunch of different drums with kendo sticks.
Yeah.
That were around there, so it's just like
you should ask Sonya Deville to explain it to
you. yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, that was the awkward moment on the pre-show. It's just like Booker T saying, "What am I, chopped liver?" And to the point where JBL is like, "I can't say nothing, or me or King will get destroyed on Twitter, so I can't say nothing."
That was a funny moment, and Booker T was trying to save them from themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Because what he's saying was just like he's doing his best work. I just didn't expect it again, because it was like back-to-back title, their second tier titles. they had a run in for his name is like Daba Singh. He's a big dude. He kind of came dressed like another. I don't know if they're going for like the African warlord type, or if he's an ally, or if he's his general. But it's just like you can tell they're about to put a lot of steam behind Apollo Crews with this gimmick. So
Yeah.
props to him. Now he's got the title, and he should, right? Because he's African royalty. Give him the title because I think Big E is now going to be making a run with Roman Reigns. You have basically, somebody loses the Intercontinental belt because maybe they're about to go for the main belt. So I think that's what they're going for. Apollo's got a lot of steam right now, so he can do it. Big E's another one. He doesn't really need the belt. They wanted to prove a point that Big E's a big star, without the New Day, without a belt, and I think they proved that. I think he's super super entertaining. He got his rub, he got his shine, and now I think he's going for the big belt. So Apollo Crews takes the W and takes the IC belt, which is nice to see the IC belt get elevated at WrestleMania again. That was nice.
Yeah, pretty good all around.
Yeah, so
I think that would have gotten a bigger pop if the show was going well at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Which there's a lot of, again, right now, we're talking. There's just a lot of head scratching moments.
Yes.
Everything so far, every match left me confused. I don't know if that's how you felt, but everything is just like the first match. I felt like confused in a bad way. The rest just kind of just confused.
Look, my harsh critique is the harshest thing I can possibly say, and I felt it, is that it felt like a Raw. Certain things felt like a Raw. And they didn't have the finality that the biggest show of the year should have. Things have to end, things have to move forward.
Right. And, even Corey Graves says it, right? The next pay-per-view is like the new season of WWE, what means the old one has to end.
According to Peacock, yes. They list them in seasons.
Yeah, so it's just like it has to end, but like I don't know if it's going to or not because there's just a lot of head-scratching moments. So this next match is just like, Rhea Ripley versus Asuka for the other women's belt. She has the Raw belt. We expected Rhea Ripley to come in strong, and I actually expected her to take the belt. Asuka's had it since May, since that Money in the Bank, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't expect it, maybe the fact that Rhea Ripley came out and had a band and pyro, and she even missed, I'm pretty sure she missed the pyro cue, and then they set it up again and got a huge intro. And then Asuka came out to her old NXT walkout video.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
all she got. She's the champ. It's like, okay, you're pretty much telegraphing what's going to happen here.
No pyro for the champ, and it was sad. It was just like, and then unfortunately Rhea Ripley, it was basically the guy on Clerk singing Berserker. It's just like because the mic
her
was,
band.
the
lead singer of her band. I think somebody, that was a sound man botch.
Yeah, the sound man botch on that one. So it's just like, so it came off again, another head scratching moment, and it's just like, and look, they had a solid match. They went about 13 minutes, and it went, and Rhea Ripley, they traded some stiff blows, and then Rhea Ripley just basically had one opportunity, took advantage of it, and beat her with her finish. And her finish almost didn't come off as that impressive, even though it is impressive, but it just didn't come off as that impressive because it was just clean 1, 2, 3, and it's just like, okay, even I kind of expected this, but I guess because my hand's already over my head, so I might as well just keep scratching it because it just came off as confused.
Well, here's what was missing to me is I thought that what was needed at the end, and I thought I saw it coming when they were cutting to the close-ups of Asuka laying on the rope, was going to be respect moment. You know what I mean? I thought they were going to get up and have a handshake moment, and that would have put Rhea over, and she could work as a babyface. Because I think it was confusing as to who was a heel and who was a babyface in this match from the get-go.
Yeah, you called it exactly right. That didn't happen. They didn't have that, Hogan holding up Warrior's hand saying you bested me, and they needed to do that, and that offers that finality that we're looking for, right?
Right.
When you do that, and it just didn't have that because now where does Asuka go from here?
I don't know. I mean, she was floundering with the belt, and I understand why they took it off her, but this just, again, it was just it felt lazy.
Yeah, it definitely felt shoehorned in there, and I don't know if it's just like because with Charlotte getting COVID, if that kind of threw things off, that Charlotte was supposed to be there and they just kind of rushed Rhea Ripley through because she didn't even have a match on Raw.
Yeah.
Right? She just came out and pointed at the sign.
Yeah, again. Yeah, I would have been fine with it. It felt right to me, but it's just the way they executed it felt.
And look, it's just like you're supposed to have the Royal Rumble mean something. Like when you win the Royal Rumble,
right,
you're guaranteed a shot. But now that there's two main belts, well, it's like, don't worry, I didn't win the Royal Rumble, but I'll just go out on Raw and point at the sign, and I'll get the other match.
There's
and
too many belts. too many belts.
Oh man, that is accurate, very accurate. So, and it takes away because we're bookending WrestleMania with the WWE, the original World Championship on the first night, and we're finishing with the Universal Championship, second show, last match. Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan, and we expected this one to deliver, and to me it did. The only thing that was, like I said, I was concerned, here's the problem that they booked themselves into a corner with this is Roman is so good right now. So good. Like he needed to keep the belt to stay dominating, but Edge had the comeback story that kind of got taken away from him a little bit because they just kind of threw this curveball of just like, we're going to put Daniel Bryan in there because we're not sure who the babyface and who the heel is. And we knew Daniel Bryan was going to not only help deliver an awesome triple threat match, but he was going to get the babyface pop, and he did. He got the biggest babyface pop.
Awesome, Daniel Bryan's here, and he just like the way he can just rock the crowd with the yes chant, and you see him cue up his fingers and stuff. And just, boom,
boom, yeah, and he just shoots it up, and it worked, and the crowd ate it up. Yeah, and it's just like, look, they were worried Edge was going to get booed. He didn't. He got a good pop, too. He didn't get as big as Daniel, but he got a pop. And actually Roman Reigns, I was the one who's just like, I even texted you. I was like, this is going to be interesting. This is the first time a live audience gets to see new Roman Reigns. So they're actually allowed to boo them if they want to, which traditionally means they're going to eventually cheer for him. But they didn't. They booed him.
They booed him. Like, did you notice? I felt like they turned down the boos.
They may have.
I felt like it started with a boo and kind of turned down. Maybe I'm not a conspiracy theorist,
but you can never tell. Yeah. They're doing so much with the sound that it's getting hard to believe anything anymore. But it's just like it worked perfect. I mean, he's got his right hand man Jey Uso. He's got Paul Heyman. They came out with the lays, and it's just like it felt special. And these guys, and this felt like the main event. Obviously, this was the match of the night for night 2 because, again, everyone on the show, there was no bad matches. It was just bad creative getting there or bad creative getting them out of the matches. I didn't know how to finish this match. I was just, to me, I was more curious, like, you can give it to Daniel because it's WrestleMania. You want people to go home happy. But they already had WrestleMania, right? 7 years ago. Do you give it to Edge because that's the feel-good moment, right? That's the comeback story. But obviously they didn't seem like they wanted to go in that direction. Or you give it to Roman, which makes sense because he's the head of the table. He's the head of the company. You want to keep him strong. It makes sense. But then you're not sending the crowd home happy. And then you're basically having another Roman Reigns with his hands raised at the end of WrestleMania, which we've seen at every WrestleMania that he's been at. So it's just like they booked themselves into a corner, but there was no way out of it. And they just basically said, okay, we're going to keep it on Roman. And that makes sense. But you didn't send the crowd home happy.
I don't know. I think the crowd wanted Daniel Bryan to get it. I think he could.
I agree.
I think he could have got it. He could have got it. Maybe he doesn't win it clean. There's some kind of smoz in there that screws things up. He doesn't win it clean, and then Roman gets it back tomorrow. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I thought that would have been all right. I think if they just let Bryan get it, let him get it another short, quick run, whatever. I think the crowd would have loved it. It would have lifted the show. It would have elevated the show at the end there.
Yeah, it needed to, because it's just like at this point, it's seeming like night 2 should have been night 1, because that Bianca elevated everybody, where this just kind of kept everybody in the state of like, I don't know what's really happening right now. And look, we're on day 7 of 9 of WWE programming in a row. So everybody's already got a little bit of match fatigue. You didn't want to keep them confused going into your biggest Raw. Traditionally, your biggest Raw ratings come the night after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And this is, to me, is going to be the first time it's not going to happen.
And there's like no questions going into Raw tomorrow. Nothing. There's nothing to be answered.
Well, they left and the only thing that would be considered a thread hanging is the Fiend, and I don't think that's a good thread. That was a bad thread.
No.
Yeah, that's not the kind of.
That was just, yeah. I feel like Vince McMahon thought he was being weird and edgy and doing like an indie film kind of thing by being vague about what happened, but it just felt like disappointing. So you don't really care what happened.
No, and it's just like the only thing that could have saved it, other than like you said, is giving Daniel the clear top baby face, the belt, is some kind of weird run in, a la WrestleMania 7, or was it 8, or returning Ultimate Warrior. Coming back, a big surprise return, running into that match at the end, could have done something like that. Other than that, there was really they booked themselves into a corner with this, and it's just a shame because I would say out of all the matches, this was the only one that actually had real good build up.
Yeah,
because it's just like
it suffered by a weak show ahead of it. Weak show in front of it.
It did.
It was not. It was good. By all standards, it was pretty good. It just did not have any wind on its wings.
Yeah, the matches were all good. The finishes were not on night 2. And you're coming off night 1 where the matches and the finish all really delivered. Right? So I'd still, night 1, thumbs up. Night 2, thumbs in the middle.
Airplane and Airplane 2, the sequel.